Welcome back to my short story series where I read and annotate a story from the Best American Mystery and Suspense 2024, edited by S.A. Cosby. Today I will be analyzing Matter of Trust by Frankie Y. Bailey. The story begins in November of 1948 and opens with a woman who returns to her car after grocery shopping to find a note which reads, "Ask him what he did." She hides the note and returns home to her husband Jack, and she decides not to tell him about the note. Then it switches to another perspective, Jo Radcliffe, who is an army nurse, and she is asked to come to the police station about a shooting that has occurred. A young woman has shot a man. We learn that this woman is Lila Tate, and her sister Tina is at the police station and has asked for Jo. Jo takes Tina back to her home and begins gently questioning her about what she knows about the shooting. Tina explains that there was an incident in which one night her car broke down. Someone brought her home. I think there were two men, but it was dark and I only saw the shape of one who got out. She was sitting in back and he opened the car door. I ducked down so they wouldn't see me. From Tina's retelling, we can assume that Lila was attacked. Jo ends up speaking to Lila. We learn that the man that was shot is Travis, Jack's best friend. And we learn from Lila that the two men were Travis and Jack, and that Travis attacked her while Jack left, and that Lila left the note for Jack's wife, ask him what he did, referring to Jack being there and leaving while she was being attacked and not doing anything about it. Well, Travis found out about the note and approached Lila at work, got aggressive with her, and when he tried to grab her, Lila grabbed her boss's gun and shot him. Then after her arraignment, we switched to the court date in which Jack was asked to take the stand, and Lila's lawyer questioned him on what he was doing the night of Lila's attack. He was there in the car when the incident occurred, admitted that he knew that Travis was attacking her, and he decided to go for a walk while this was happening. He admits he didn't want to watch, and after he admits to doing nothing, knowing that she was being attacked, his wife leaves the courtroom, and Jo looks over at Lila, who is both crying and smiling. So I think her smile indicates that she is pleased with the fact that Jack is being held accountable for doing nothing while she was being attacked in front of his wife. So it is sort of implied that his wife leaves him, which is really the only accountability, that it's really the only consequence that he faces that we can assume. Right there in the courtroom is where the story ends. I was not very happy with the ending because it felt sort of abrupt, and I expected there to be more to it. And the way the story plays out is everything is sort of expected. There are no plot twists. There's really no mystery. It technically opens with a mystery, with the note, and so we're questioning who the note is from and who the note is talking about. It is quickly established that the note is about Jack. We know that Lila will go to jail for killing Travis. It's basically just a sad story about a woman who is attacked, and it can't be considered self-defense because she didn't shoot him in the moment when she was being attacked. She shot him in a later altercation where she said she feared for her life, but there are no witnesses. The bar owner asked Lila to close up, so no one else was in the bar. There isn't any really romantic imagery, which I feel would be disingenuous to the style of the writing, which is very realistic and focused on relaying a series of events without any romantic imagery that could potentially cloud the grittiness of the story. I mostly annotated questions that I had, but each question was quickly answered, so there wasn't very much space left for wondering. It wasn't the type of story that the questions were all answered at the end. The questions were answered in succession throughout the story, so that made the end somewhat unsatisfying. It didn't really wrap up any questions that we had because we weren't really left with any questions to be answered by the time we got to the end of the story. I think the theme of the story is given in the title, which is Matter of Trust. I believe refers to trusting Lila's story. Lila's sister Tina brings up the fact that she wouldn't have told anyone about the attack because, quote unquote, you know what they think about how it's the woman's fault. At the time, it was accepted that a woman must have done something to initiate the attack, which is sadly the thought of many even today, which makes the story pretty relevant. Lila is sort of this edgy character. She lives in a trailer and works 2 jobs to support herself and her sister. She smokes cigarettes and has kind of brutish language, and she even explains that a woman of her situation would never be attacked. And even Lila's sister Tina doesn't know all of the details. She is just sort of this sweet, naive 14-year-old character who had to learn quickly about the world. But even so, she's still young, and Jo does her best to protect Tina from knowing the gritty details of the situation. Thank you for coming back and watching the second installment in my series of short stories. I will be continuing to read and annotate each story in the series. I will see you next week for part 3.